Yo, what's up guys? My name is Kiro SA and today I will be teaching you about making your own unique chord progressions by making use of modal interchange. But before we get there is useful information that I want to give you as it goes hand in hand with today's lesson. And by the way, shout out to Bruce Beats for this information. I got it by watching one of his videos here on YouTube. So we all know the number system. It's basically the numbering of chords from chord number 1 all the way to chord 7. So we can further break down the number system into camps to explain the role they play within a chord progression. So our first camp, we're going to call it the home camp. The chords assigned to that camp are the chords 1, 6 and 3 because they provide the feeling of arrival or resolution. So these are the chords that bring us home. And our second camp, we are going to call it the tension camp. This is the camp that makes our progressions interesting, if I may say. And the chords assigned to this camp are the chords 5 and 7. The 5 being a dominant 7 chord and the 7 being a half diminished chord. And our last camp, we are going to call it the pre-tension camp because these chords allow us to move our chord progression forward without too much color, and these are the chords, and these chords are 2 and 4. The reason why I am giving you this information is because when we make use of modal interchange, we need to know what camp we are going to pull chords from. And if you're asking what is modal interchange, in short, according to Google, modal interchange, also called borrowed chords or modal mixture, is the technique of borrowing a chord from a parallel mode, a different scale that shares the same root note. So an example I can give is, let's say we're in the key of C major. We then can borrow chords from the same family of C by borrowing chords from C minor natural, from C minor harmonic, from C Dorian, from C Phrygian, and so on. And by the end of this video, if you are still confused, please do check out Michael Kitson, because he has a video on modal interchange. And so now we know what modal interchange is. How do we use it to make our own unique chord progression? Well, let's start here by using a common R&B chord progression, and this chord progression is a 6-2-5-1. And since we're in the key of C major, it's a A minor going to a D minor going to a G dominant 7 and then ending on the C major. And I also added the extensions with all these chords. So the extension I added is the 9th. So it's the A minor 9 going to a D minor 9 going to a G dominant 7 with the 9 and ending on the C major 9. And this chord progression sounds like this. So that's how the chord progression sounds before we make use of modal interchange. So to make this chord progression a little bit unique, how about we borrow a chord from C minor natural, and the chord I am talking about is the 6th chord, and the 6th chord in C minor natural is a major chord. So that means we are going to change our minor 6th chord to a major 6th chord by moving the 3rd and the 7th a half step up, and now we have a major 9 chord instead of a minor 9 chord, and altogether the chord progression now sounds like this. I am sure you heard how changing just one chord can change the whole chord progression, and to spice things even more, I changed the 6th chord back to the minor 6th chord, but now I borrowed the 2 chord from the scale of C minor harmonic, which makes it a half diminished. I also borrowed the 5 chord of C Dorian. I also borrowed the 5 chord from C Dorian, which is the minor 5 chord. And the 1 chord is still the 1 chord, but the difference now is I arranged the notes so that they make more sense. And what I did was to put the 7th down an octave and then get rid of the root note and the 5th. The chord progression now sounds like this. And to make another new chord progression using the 6251, I now did a tritone substitution of the 5 chord, and in short, a tritone substitution is when you play the 5 chord 3 whole tones away from your normal 5 chord. So instead of playing G dominant 7, I am now using C sharp dominant 7, which happens to be a chord found in the C Phrygian mode as a 2 chord. I also borrowed the flat 6 chord from C Phrygian to act as a passing chord going back to the 6 chord A minor 9. And the new chord progression sounds like this. Another thing I forgot to mention is that the 5 chord in this chord progression that I just played is an altered dominant 7 chord, which means it's a dominant 7 with a sharp 5 and a sharp 9. So in closing, the reason why this works is if we go back to the camps that I spoke about earlier, the 6th chord is our home chord, the 2 chord is the pre-tension chord, and the 5 chord gives us the tension, and the 1 chord resolves that tension by taking us back home. And here are the 2 new chord progressions that we made using the modal interchange formula. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. So let me play you the 2 new chord progressions that we made back to back, and they sound like this.